OBF the Family Channel people. Make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, so you guys get the live streams when we go live, people. And if you can donate to the channel, go to OBF the Real Cash App and donate to the channel, people. We highly appreciate it. All right, man. I ain't even gonna be long on this, man. Listen, man. Highly, highly disappointed that Earl lost last night, man. Bud Crawford basically um proved that he was the best fighter in the world. Um, I don't have anybody better than Terrence Crawford. He made history yesterday. Um, he basically proved to everybody that you know we question his resume. And listen, I'm gonna say this because this is one thing that I said about Bud Crawford. I never said that Bud Crawford wasn't great. I said I didn't know how great. I didn't know how great was he because his resume did not prove to me on paper that he was on that level. He had that type of competition that Earl had. That was my whole issue with Bud Crawford. Um, I thought Bud Crawford thought I thought that Bud Crawford thought that he was bigger than what he really was. It still to me he still did not prove that his resume was better than Earl Spence. He wasn't the A side. He shouldn't have got a lot of the demands that he got from Earl Spence. But Earl, he wanted this fight so bad, and I believe that Earl was a little overconfident. It's one thing of having confidence in yourself, but it's another thing of not looking past Terrence Crawford, but almost didn't. I don't think he thought that Earl. I think Earl thought that he was that Terrence Crawford wasn't as great as he thought he was because a lot of people thought like, hey, he didn't fight nobody. And I believe that Spence thought that as well as some of people that ride with Earl. We thought that he wasn't really like that. I didn't know how great he was. I knew he was great, but I didn't know how great he was because I didn't really see him in there with nobody that was like really a dog like that. Um, I believe he outclassed Earl Spence last night. Um, he did what he's supposed to have did. He proved to everybody that his doubters, and I was one of them. And it wasn't that I wasn't saying he wasn't great. I didn't know how great he was because of his resume, but he proved me wrong of that he's the best fighter in the world. Um, I don't think uh I don't know if Earl should take that fight again. Uh, I believe he will take that fight. He will get the rematch at the end of the year just to prove that uh maybe he can do better or he really truly think he probably can beat Terrence Crawford. But listen, um the reason I don't want to see the fight is because some of the fact to me, and like I said, let me break down the situation that what I seen last night from Earl Spence. Um I don't want to see the fight again. I think Terrence Crawford needs to move on. I think Earl Spence needs to move on and see what else he want to do in his career. I believe that uh, Earl should could kind of think about retiring because I think um, it's nothing else for him to kind of accomplish uh, anymore. I think that was for either fighter. I think if Earl Spence would have dominated or beat Terrence Crawford, I don't think that Terrence Crawford should have took that fight with Earl Spence because it's not going to be anything else he can go back to the drawing board and do to beat Earl Spence if Earl would have dominated him. And it's vice versa for Earl Spence. I don't think there's anything that Earl Spence can do in training that could beat Terrence Crawford regardless. I just think skills wise, Terrence Crawford is better. Um, uh, the assessment that I have from Earl Spence. I think that he was he was much slower, and I believe he was drained. I believe Terrence Crawford. I mean, if they fight at 154, I don't mind seeing the fight again in December. But if they fighting at 147, I don't want to see that fucking fight. And I probably won't watch it because it'll be the same outcome. Because I believe that Terrence Crawford skills is just better, and I believe that Earl Spence was drained last night. I truly do. Listen, I'm not making excuses. Terrence Crawford won the fight fair and square. It's nothing. I'm not. I'm not gonna do that shit that everybody was doing with Ryan Garcia fans and shit was out there talking. Oh, he was weight drained. That's why. That's why. Tank beat him and all this other shit. I'm not doing that. But I believe that he was weight drained. He did not look like himself. Listen. I done seen plenty of Earl Spence fights, and I seen him in tough fights. I done seen him with Kell Brooks, and Kell Brooks is just as close as fast as Terrence Crawford. It just as got as much power in a way as Terrence Crawford. And I done seen Earl Spence adjust of um getting uh uh countered. Like I seen him adjust the counter of his jab. Like when Earl would throw his jab, Kell Brooks would throw the jab right after, right? But I watched the fight where Earl Spence made adjustments to where the point that he threw the jab, and then um uh um Kell Brooks threw his jab to counter it, and Earl would take a dip down, or he would back up. Soon he throw the jab, he would back up, and it will hit, and then he'd come back and counter or some shit like that. But I seen Earl adjust the fights last night. I I believe he was drained. I believe he didn't take Terrence Crawford as serious as he's supposed to. He might have the preparation of preparing for Terrence Crawford. He maybe you know didn't do that well. But I don't. Earl just didn't look right for me to me. Like the first round, it was okay. I expected that. I expected the first round. The first round, like I said, you could have gave it to Earl, or you could have gave that shit a even round for both of them. But the first round was kind of what I thought it was going to be. The second round, you started to see, and I was saying that if you go back and watch my live stream, I said Terrence Crawford has to fight now. He has to make a move. He has to start throwing punches now because I seen Earl Spence pushing the pace more and more. And I kept telling y'all, everybody think Earl is a fast starter. He's not. He's a more of a dude. He almost does what any of them other fighters do when they say they take off rounds to for data and shit. Like they say Terrence Crawford take rounds off for data to figure fighters out and shit. That wasn't Earl Spence is like that too. It's just every round he gets better of figuring out how to fight you, right? And he only fights a certain type of fucking way. Um, I believe that it wasn't about boxing IQs. I believe both of their IQs was about the same. I just thought that Terrence Crawford was just he was much fast. He was much faster. Um, he was uh he was just as powerful or even more powerful than Earl Spence. And I'm telling y'all, if something was wrong with Earl, man, I'm telling you, I have never seen Earl. Listen, I didn't see Earl in tough fights. Even with Sean Porter, I didn't seen Sean Porter do some things to Earl, and I was like, okay, damn, Earl. But then I seen Earl come back and hit him with some shit that made him like, okay, I gotta think about it. Last night, Earl Spence, he looked as slow. He looked like his punches didn't. He didn't have no power in his punches. That shit looked so weird to me. And I'm not making excuses. He lost, he lost. But I'm telling y'all, he was weight drained. He is no way impossible that this dude looked at the way he looked last night. That's Earl Spence fucking Jr., man. And I don't care what nobody say. I'm not making no excuses for him of why he lost that fight. But he didn't supposed to get his ass whooped like that. Now, Terrence Crawford probably still could have knocked his ass out or some shit like that, hurt him real bad. Not saying that, but the way Earl Spence looked, with no power, it was almost like he had no speed. And we know Earl got a little speed. He got some fucking speed. He looked at like he was off balance and shit like that. And usually Earl is real off. He's off balance when he's set on his punches and shit, right? But he's more. It's more skillful. He didn't look like he had no fucking skills at all. He looked at weak. And sometimes when you weak like that, you don't seem fundamentally sound. He didn't even look fundamentally sound yesterday. It wasn't that he just got totally outclassed. To me, he just looked like he was just weak. Even when he was throwing shots and shit, it was like I didn't see that same speed on the punches that he was throwing, that he usually throw. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then like after he got knocked down, I believe that was the turning point of not his confidence. I think that he was more embarrassed than anything, because that was his first time ever being knocked down. And especially off of a fucking straight uh uh lead jab like that. It was almost like the same shit that Kel Brooks got hit with, and it fucked him up. But I told you, Earl does have a fucking chin, and he can take a punch, and so it didn't. I don't think it hurt him like it hurt Cal Brooks. And plus, he hit Terrence Crawford hit him with that shot later in the fight, like maybe like the fifth round or sixth round or some shit like that. I think it was the fifth round he hit Cal Brooks with that same fucking shot. And Kel Brooks was by then, he probably, they've been ripping and running around the ring for a little minute. He hit Earl with that bitch early, so you know that the fucking shot didn't really hurt Earl. It just kind of just stunned him. I don't believe he was hurt when that first knockdown, but I believe that he was embarrassed by that shit. And that's when I knew from right then and there, when he got hit with that shot and got knocked down, I knew Earl Spence was gonna go on that bitch and do what Earl you don't normally do, which he shouldn't have did. When that should have been a wake up call for you. It's almost like when Ryan got hit with that motherfucking that left hook from Tank in the second round, and he got caught. He wasn't hurt, but he got stunned and got knocked down. You seen Ryan Garcia say, "Okay, let me back the fuck up a little bit. Let me box a little something." You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna pressure too much. You know what I mean? Let me find my shots. Let me find my openings. He kind of paced himself, and I give Ryan his props for that, because that shit could have got ugly. If he'd have kept trying to rush Tank, he probably got knocked the fuck out. Probably in that round again, and I mean totally cold out, or he'd got knocked out the next round. But Earl Spence, uh, he only fights one way. He wasn't afraid. He just like, fuck it. All right, now it's time to fight. Like, this motherfucker just not hit me, knock me down. Let's go to war. And that was his whole mentality, but it was the wrong mentality, in my honest opinion. um, I was in that second round, and I seen that. I kept saying, I said, Terrence Crawford is much faster. You could tell that off the gate. But he's not that much faster than Earl Spence. I'm telling y'all, he was weak, man. Something wasn't right with Earl. I'm gonna keep saying that shit because I believe that. I didn't see too many fights of Earl. But I said he's faster than Earl, and he's a great fucking counterpuncher with power. And Earl need to watch out for that shit. And soon I said that shit, soon he caught Earl with that goddamn shot and knocked him down. I said, Earl done got knocked down. What the fuck? Like, god damn. But I told y'all that Terrence Crawford would had to fight that way to beat Earl Spence. He had to be aggressive, get in the pocket. I thought it would be dangerous for him to be sitting in that pocket with Earl like that. But just to see how Earl was, he just looked at weak, bro. He didn't look like himself. And I told you that when I think it was a while ago when I was talking about this fight. Not a while ago, but maybe a couple of days ago, that I was saying Earl ain't cut. Ain't nothing. He don't look cut. It don't look like he got any muscle on him. It looked like he slimmed down, like he drained himself to make that fucking weight or something. Something was off. I knew something was wrong when I looked at his body. I said Earl body don't look cut. Go back and look at some of the tape when I was talking about that shit. One of them live streams I did this last week came up before this fight happened. I said Earl do not look, and it could have been yesterday. I said he do not look cut. Usually he look cut. He don't look cut at all. He didn't look big. He didn't look like he put back on some pounds and shit after they did the weigh in. He had a whole fucking day to put some pounds on. And he just didn't look. He just looked like he looked it weak. I didn't listen, man. He looked it off. That's all I'm saying. He looked it off. And Earl, and I want to shout out to Earl Spence for not making no excuses of saying, hey man, he was just a better man tonight. I was off. He looked it off. And like I said, he looked it off to me because he looked like he was weight drained. And I'm not saying it's Terrence Crawford fight that was in the conditions of the contract. I'm just saying for me, it seemed like he shouldn't have been at that weight. And he been off for a whole fucking year. He didn't fight nobody to kind of like balance in that weight and shit like that. Like so it was bad for Earl not to fight. Now we understand that Earl should have took a fight before he fought Terrence Crawford or moved the fuck on. And I kept saying that. I said I think Earl should just move the fuck on or fight somebody. You get what I mean? At 147. But I think that he said to him, he was like, I'm not fighting nobody else at 147 because there's no reason to, because I cleaned out the division and got the belts. And Earl and Terrence Crawford got double fucking belt, and that's supposed to be what it is. But I believe, negotiation wise, I believe Terrence Crawford outsmarted Earl Spence in negotiations. Um, because I believe that it seemed to me, if you look back at it all now and see the outcome of it, is that it seemed to me that um he got outsmarted because of the simple fact of Earl Spence um seemed like he wanted to fight more. He begged for the fucking fight. And I believe Terrence Crawford seen that and said, man, I can get this fucking fight and I can get what I want in this fight because this dude really wants to fight me. And I'm telling y'all something. I believe that Terrence Crawford didn't expect to do exactly what he did to Earl Spence last night either. I'm telling you that now. He can say that shit all he wants, but nobody expected Earl to get dominated like that. I wouldn't be I said I wasn't gonna be shocked if Earl got knocked out or some shit like that because he got caught slipping. But that's any fighter. That's in any match. That can happen to any fighter. It can happen to Tank in his next fucking fight. You can get caught. It can happen to Canelo. It can happen to anybody. You get caught and a motherfucker got you that night and catch you right, you can go. So that could have been anybody. I never said Terrence couldn't win the fight either. But he got outsmarted as far as negotiations, and now Earl actually doesn't have no leverage at all. Actually, Earl got to take everything, other than if Earl can get him to fight at 154. And I believe that Terrence Crawford will do that for him because I don't think Terrence Crawford want to be at 154 no more. I think he's having kind of some trouble at 150 at 147. Um, I heard Black Fight Fam say, Trill Boston say that people said something about with him fighting Terrence Crawford fighting Bud Crawford fighting Boots Ennis. Oh, he ain't fought nobody. Well, listen, let me just say this. He never been a world champ. Let me just say this. For what I seen last night, Terrence Crawford is the greatest fighter in the world right now. I'm not taking nothing away from Terrence Crawford. I said this shit when they was fighting last night. Boots Ennis can beat Earl Spence Jr. I thought he couldn't, but he can. I don't give a fuck if he's not weight drained. And like I said, maybe I could be wrong about this again. Earl Spence, maybe if they fight at 154, it may look a little different, but I just still think Terrence going to beat him because I think Terrence knows exactly what to do to beat him at this point. And that would have went for Terrence Crawford. If Terrence Crawford would have lost yesterday and Earl would have whipped his ass, it ain't no weight class that Terrence Crawford was ever going to beat Earl Spence. That's just how it just That's just what I seen. That's just how I feel. Um, but I said this shit when they was fighting last night. I said Boots Ennis will beat this shit out of both of them. Terrence Crawford got a better of a chance because Terrence Crawford got power in both his fucking hands, and that shit is his power is for real too, and and that's another thing I'm gonna give Terrence Crawford because I kind of like act like I ain't gonna say I act like I kind of felt like his power was a little overrated for me because he was knocking out nobodies to me. But Terrence Crawford fucking power is elite, and I'm talking about elite like Deontay Wilder, um, motherfucking Tank Davis elite type power. He's up there. His power is for real. I seen that shit straight up yesterday. This motherfucker jab is real. His hands is for real. His power for real. So I tell any fighter, whoever gets in the ring with Terrence Crawford, do not play with that dude power. Take his power for real. And I think at this point of time, anybody that get in the ring with Terrence Crawford, they gonna be very, very cautious of his fucking power now. They ain't nobody questioning his power. His power is elite. His power is elite like Deontay Wilder, one hitter quitters, Tank Davis, catch your ass, knock your ass type of power. He got that type of fucking power. I'm telling y'all that now. His shit like lethal. But I think Boots are washed. I think Boots will wind up beating Earl Smith's ass too. Just like Terrence just beat his ass. No lie to you. And maybe, like I said, I could be wrong. Just it could be the weight. Him being weight drained at 147. I don't know. But if they do fight in December and they fight at 154, I'll give that a chance to see how that look. But I still think that Terrence Crawford is going to win. Just my honest opinion. From what I seen last night. I know he was weight drained. I don't think at 154 he gonna beat the shit out of Earl in that next if they do fight in the rematch. I don't think he gonna whip his ass like that, but the ending probably be the same. He probably still knock him out. They probably stop the fight. And I still think, my honest opinion, the referee, I get it. I get what everybody was saying. They should have just stopped the fight. I get that. Nah, man. With somebody like Earl Spence and Deontay Wilder and those guys like that, you let them go out on a shield. Those type of dudes, if that was Bud, I said, no, don't stop that motherfucker fight. Let Bud go out on his shield. Those type of dudes like that, you got to let them go out on their shield. Certain other fighters, I get it. But those type of special fighters like that's dogs like that, you gotta let them go out on their shield like that. I did not like the stopping that the referee did. I don't care. I disagree with anybody and everybody talking about stopping that fight. You let Earl go out on his shield like that. You don't do no shit like that, bro. Cause that man, you don't think he recognized that he put his life on the line getting out there. He put his life on the line the whole fucking for years. So you let him go out on his shield. He earned enough respect for that. I felt like the referee fuck disrespected Earl Spence, made him he was getting his ass whipped, but he made him even look even worse. It was like Sean Porter daddy and shit. Like you throwing in the towel. What the fuck are you doing, bro? He was not even hurt. Like Terrence Crawford didn't even really hurt um Sean Porter like that. He just, knocked him down, embarrassed him. He didn't really hurt him. So it was like, yo, they need to stop that shit. I get y'all trying to say the fight. Sometimes some fights you look at, you see they like, yeah, they getting fucked up. And they ain't fighting back, they ain't got no defense. It's nothing like that. I understand that. But that wasn't the case with Earl. Earl was still trying to block, get out of the way, and maybe throw a punch or something. Because it could have been Terrence Crawford could have got too carried away of attacking him and got caught with something. We don't know now because the motherfucker stopped the goddamn fight. That's my only thing about that fucking fight that I was mad about. If Terrence gonna whip his, Terrence gotta put that nigga in the dirt. Like come on, bro. That shit was that was embarrassing. I'm sick of them fucking referees doing that shit, man. to some of them fighters. You know what I mean? I'm sick of that shit. Um, but Terrence Crawford, if he fought Boots, it'll be a great fight. But I think Boots will beat him though. I think I think Boots is faster than him. The power shit, that's the only thing my concern will be with Boots, because I think Boots cannot he I don't think Boots would do this, but Boots, he better not do what Earl did, get in there and doubt that man's power. Because Terrence Crawford power is for real. And I'm telling y'all that now. His power is for real. So I don't care what fighter get in there. I don't give a fuck if he fight Charlo. If Charlo beat Canelo. And I believe if he beat Canelo, it ain't no reason for him to go back down to fight at 154. There's no reason for him to do that. Honestly, unless you make a super fight, your next fight will be with Terrence Crawford or some shit. Then I get it. He ain't got to. If he beat Canelo, he ain't no reason him go fight no motherfucker Tim Zoo. Let's just be real about that. Um, but yeah, um, but yeah, I believe if Terrence Crawford fight Boots, Boots will beat him. But like I said, that's more of a 50-50 fight for me, because I wouldn't know for sure who would win that fight. I would give the edge to I don't wouldn't give the edge to either one of them, because I think skill wise overall, Boots is is much better and faster than Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence. You already seen that. But the power, that's what I question from Boots. Boots got decent power. But I don't know how real his power is. But we know Terrence Crawford power is for real, and that'll be the equalizer in that fight. You know what I mean? If is Boots power elite like that, or if it because if it ain't, you ain't gonna be able to keep Terrence Crawford off of you like that. You know what I'm saying? Terrence gonna land some shit, and that might be the nail in the coffin of that fight. But yeah, Boost deserved to fight Terrence Crawford or anybody up there in the elite level like that. I don't give a fuck who it is. Nobody at 154 is beating him, maybe other than Boots. Honestly, I know Keith Thurman, he want to fight and shit. Keith Thurman, you gonna get your ass with. You go in there and fuck, because first of all, we already know you can't take body punches and shit. So and Terrence Crawford knows he will prepare for you and most likely go to your body and beat the shit out of you. So it ain't nobody at 154 that can beat Terrence Crawford. At 154, it's a little different. Them guys is big up there. They're much bigger. That's why I said it probably be better for Terrence Crawford to even fight Earl at 154, just in case if he does, I believe he will beat Earl again at 154, and that'll be Earl's last fight. This rematch, if he does fight, and I believe it should be. I don't want to see Earl fight no more. It's nothing else he can do in boxing. And I know people said, well, he lost. Listen, this was a big fight, man. Um, and he got outclassed. He didn't just lose a fight or just get caught with something and got knocked out. He got his ass whipped, bro. Earl Smith got his ass whipped. And so I really don't want to see Earl fight no more. I think he got a most likely he probably got a big payday. I'm waiting on the pay-per-views numbers and shit. I know they did did pretty good at Vegas selling out. I want to see what that's like. See how that is. I'll probably find some more about that probably tomorrow or later on this week. But I don't want to see Earl fight no more. Other than if he fight Terrence Crawford in a rematch at 154. Other than that, I don't need to see Earl fight no more. It's um I think and I think I said this before. I said whoever loses this fight, one of them will retire, and especially if Earl get his ass whipped real bad. And he got his ass whipped real bad. So not like how Earl did Ugas, but he got his ass whipped, bro. Um, because he punished Ugas. Terrence Crawford didn't really punish him, but he whipped his ass. Um, and it that took something out of him because I know he embarrassed. I know he, this hurt him real bad emotionally. It's gonna take a little minute, but man, Earl a different dude too. So, and he talking about he wanted to get this rematch by the end of the year. So, like I said, he may shake this shit off. Um, and maybe sometimes it depends what type of fighter. Sometimes you may need the time off after you come off of a loss, especially it depends how you got your ass whipped, and you may need to take some time. And sometimes it might just be good you just to get back up in there after getting an ass whipping like that to get some confidence back, even if you lose the fight. So like I said, um, it's different when you get an ass whipping though. It's different. But like I said, some of them dudes are built different, and Earl is one of those dudes that's built different. And so, like I said, I don't want to see Earl fight no more, other than fighting Terrence Crawford in the rematch. And and then if he win that fucking fight, then they gonna fight again. So like by in that time, shit, Earl be what 34, 35. Terrence Crawford be 30, 37, 38. You know what I'm saying? So people gotta think about that shit. And this ain't the end of the road, because like I said, it's supposed to have been like a Tommy Hearns and all them shit. Them guys fought more than once. So you know, we'll see, man. Like I said, we'll see with Earl what he does. He go back, heal up. He probably need about like a month of heal up or some shit like that. Knowing Earl, he fuck around, take a week or two off, and probably get right back in the gym. Knowing this nigga, you know what I'm saying. So I don't think he should overtrain neither though. And hopefully they make the deal out to be at 150, 154. Um, at this point, Earl can't demand anything. The purse is going to Terrence Crawford. He's gonna get the bigger purse. He's the A side now, so it ain't nothing too much that Earl can demand. I don't think Earl would demand anything because I understand he understand that Terrence Crawford is the guy. He's the A side now, and only thing he probably just be like, hey, let's fight at 154. That's why he said hopefully we can get it at 154. But if we got to fight at 147, I'm cool with that too. But I think Terrence Crawford is a good dude in that way. I think he genuinely got love for Earl Spence, and Earl got love for him. I think he'd do that just to give him that opportunity to maybe that might be the difference. Because I'm telling you, I believe that Terrence Crawford, no, that ain't that's not the real Earl Spence man we seen last night. It's one thing of him getting outclassed. It's another thing of him getting dominated like that. That shit didn't even look not even just dominated like that. He didn't even like hit like it when he hit Earl. Hit Terrence. It didn't even look like he did nothing to him. Didn't look like he hurt him at all. What up, talking? What up, LT? It don't look like he did anything. That was like it looked bad, y'all. That's all I'm saying. That shit looked bad, man. That shit didn't look right to me. I ain't never seen Earl look that damn weak and powerless. Like he couldn't like his shots wasn't even like his shots was slow. I was like, what the fuck is going on with this shit? Um, but you know, like I said, I don't want to see Earl fight no more unless he fight Terrence Crawford at 154 for the rematch. Other than that, he ain't got nothing else really to prove like that. He basically did what he said he was going to do. It didn't work out for him at the end. Um, so shout out to Terrence Crawford. He is elite. Like I said, he's number one. I took my top 10 now. I got because I had to maneuver it a little bit. I got Terrence Crawford number one. I got Jamel Charlo at number two. I got um I got Tank at 3. I got Devin Haney at 4. I got shit. I got Shakur at 5. I got Beevil at 6. And I got who else I got there? I forgot the other dude name, but I got him at 7. He at 174. I can't remember this fucking dude now. I think he a Russian dude. Maybe. Yeah, he a Russian dude. I can't remember his fucking name. He fight at 175. I got him at 7. I got I'm missing somebody. I'm missing some fucking body. And I can't remember off the top of my head. But right there, that's where I got it. But I don't I got Earl. I got NUA at uh at 10, and I got Earl at 11. I took Earl Spence out of my top 10. He lost. It's a big loss too. Um, he can't beat pound for pound after you lose. That goes for a lot of those dudes, man. You can't lose and still be in the top pound for pound. You can't. You know what I mean? Especially if you lose a fight, you still can't. You got to earn that shit back to get back in that top 10. So I took Earl out my top 10, and I put a Nui up in. I got him at number 10, but I got a couple of other dudes in front of yo. I just can't remember who the fuck they is. It's like 2 dudes I'm missing. I'm missing my eight and my nine guys. I got to look at my list again. But I took Earl out of my top 10. I even had Fulton at one point in time. Before he lost to Anui, I took him. He was in my top 10. I took Fulton out. He's not in my top 10 no more. Um, you know, I knew this shit was gonna be. Listen, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I get nervous when these fights happen, especially when they my guys. Um, I used to get nervous every time Floyd fought, but some shit was off, man. Fulton lost the way he lost, and then I was like, this might not be a uh good week for motherfucking for the PBC fighters. You know what I'm saying? That's what it seems like. And the only person that really so far to me proved that they was about who they was at this time it seemed now, because the dude that set the table was was your boy Tank Davis. He set the table of these type of fights, and the only person that kind of really Benavidez, he doesn't count. We kind of figured that he could beat Caleb Plant, but I still give him props for that fight, for winning that fight. But Tank, it seemed like Tank the only dude that kind of did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he exactly who he is, who we who we say he is. You know what I'm saying? He the only dude. Um, Fulton lost. Shit, Josh Taylor got upset by Team Fimo Lopez. That's another one. Fucking Earl Spence just lost. So like I said, it's up to Maul. It's up to Jamel. It's up to Jamel. Go fight motherfucking Canelo Alvarez, and I believe that might be an upset. I'm still picking um Jamel for that fight, because I believe um that fight is tailor made for him to fight Canelo. Canelo ain't that great of a boxer, and Maul is a banger too. So Jamel, excuse me, is a banger. So that's the next big fight coming up. So I'm highly disappointed that my man lost, man. You know, I'm still, still team Spence, man. That's still my guy, man. But I think he should go ahead on and, if he don't fight Bud in this rematch at 154, he shouldn't. He should just go ahead and retire. If he win, it's something. Then we can have another conversation. Then he might as well go ahead and stay at one. But they'd be fighting again because I think it probably be a rematch clause in that. And I think Earl would probably give Terrence Crawford a rematch. You know what I mean? Just off of respect level if he beat Earl. I mean beat Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? So and they'll make a lot of fucking money next year. They're gonna probably make money this fight coming up again if they do a rematch. It might not be as big as this one, but it's gonna do some numbers. But if Earl wins the next that trilogy, that shit gonna be huge next year. That gonna be another big one of the biggest fights next year. So shout out to Earl, man. I mean, yeah, shout out to Terrence Crawford, man. You the guy, man. You the A side now. You know what I mean? You proved that you A side. You deserve A side money. You deserve A side status and class. Like you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers got put respect on that man's name now. You know what I mean? And I'm one of them. I still don't like Bud as a person, but as a fucking boxer, he's the best boxer in the world. And he listen, man, and he a Hall of Famer right now. He just basically stamped that he's a Hall of Famer right now. He's getting in the Hall of Fame. I think a lot of people probably thought that he was gonna get in there before because he did he had a lot of accolades and shit. But this right here stamped it for me. He's automatically a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer right now. He's one of the greats. Like I said, his career right now, you know, it still ain't over. You know what I mean? I think he maybe have if he fight Earl again in December, he got that fight. I believe he will win that fight. I'd have switched over from 60 to 40. I believe 40% that Terrence Crawford will win that fight if in the rematch. 40% Earl could still shock motherfuckers and be the old Earl. Maybe like I said, he looked at weight drain. Maybe he had 154. He seemed strong. He you know what I mean or whatever. Uh, but I still got Terrence favorite in that fight. So he'll have that fight to say he beat Earl again, which he should. Um, he maybe got a if Maul beat Canelo. Um, I believe I believe that'll be the next mega fight next year as well. Especially if he beat Earl again and and Maul beat him. I mean beat uh um shit. He beat Canelo, but I think Canelo gonna want a rematch. So Canelo might get a rematch sometime around or maybe May or some shit. So that won't be over if Mel beat him, Jamel beat him. So that they gonna probably run that back. Um, I know it's a rematch clause in there. Um, so he may not. So Terrence beat Earl Spence Jr. I guess the next big fight for maybe Terrence Crawford maybe is the fight maybe somebody like Tim Tszyu at 154 because it ain't no reason for him to go back down and be fighting Boots unless he want to, but I highly doubt it because that means Boots would have to come up and fight him at 154, and so I don't know if Boots would do that. I mean Boots probably would do that, but just to get that opportunity. But I don't know if Terrence Crawford even have to do that. He don't, but like this, he don't owe Boots any opportunity. I'm just saying that at this point, especially if he beat Earl Spence again, and the same outcome comes, or I don't give a fuck if it's a decision, he still beat him. He don't owe really at this point. Terrence Crawford don't owe nobody shit. I mean, he owes Earl Spence a rematch because it's contract wise, but at the same time, I know he got respect for Earl, and he should give Earl a fucking rematch just because of all the shit that Earl gave up for him to even him to even them even fighting. So he owe Earl. That's the only person he owe. Other than that, he don't owe nobody to give them no fight. So if he beat Earl and he stays at 154, because which I believe he will do, because he was talking about moving up as well. Because I think it's hard for him to keep making 147. Um, and I definitely think it'd be very, very hard for him to keep making 147 if him and Earl fight at 154. But Um, yeah, I think he should go ahead and fight Tim Zoo because I believe, especially only if Maul. Well, yeah, only if Maul. I mean Jamel beat Canelo. If he doesn't beat Canelo, then that's the next fight for him. You know what I mean? And I believe if I'm Jamel, I'm taking that fight. I'm not fighting Tim Zoo. Tim Zoo don't offer anything. You know, Terrence Crawford offers something. So I would take that fight. Tim Zoo would just have to fucking wait. You know what I mean? Tim Zoo, it's plenty for people, other people that Tim Zoo can fight that weight in that weight division. You know what I mean? If it boiled down to it, if you want to, you say, hey man, well fuck it, I want to fight Earl. And see, I believe Earl probably will take that fight. But, you know, everything's still like it's still up in the air this year because the year's not out and you got a rematch with Earl. I believe that that's definitely most likely going to happen. I don't really want to see it, but if if they fight at 154, I'm okay of seeing it. But um, everything's still kind of up in the air just because of Jamel. We don't know if he's gonna win this fight. I believe he can win that fight. It's a 50-50 fight for me. I believe he can win it. I'm not saying he's gonna win. I just believe he can win it. So it's a 50-50 fight. Canelo's still Canelo. Canelo can catch you and knock your ass out. So, it is what it is. Um, so this next fight will prove to where shit gonna go. Falls the light, not the light, but the welterweight and 157. I'm sorry, 147 division um and where 154 division gonna be. So we got a lot of moving pieces still out there. So we gotta look at it like that. Uh, but yeah, shout out to Terrence Crawford, man. All respect in the world. I apologize, my brother. You is who you say you are. Um, no excuses, but I still think my honest opinion, and there's no excuses because Terrence Crawford deserve all the accolades and all the props. I still think Earl was drained, weight drained. He just didn't look right to me. I don't know what the fuck was wrong with him, boy. Like he was drugged or something. Like he was high or something. I don't know, man. He just didn't look right, man. Like he was on painkillers or some shit. Like his punches was weak. They was thrown slow, and he just looked it bad, man. He looked it bad. I listen. It's a 60% percentage that Terrence Crawford just whipped his ass, right? 60% of that. The other 40%, I just believe he was weight drained, and that's why he got his ass whipped the way he did. He just didn't look right, man. I ain't never seen Earl Spence look like that, man. You know what I mean? I was watching the motherfucking Tank Davis and Hector Garcia fight, and Tank looked it slow. It looked like he took too much time off or something. Like, but he looked at the fight looked it slow. Like it looked like Hector was slow. Hector ain't a fast dude anyway, but Tank looked it slow, and it was almost like Tank was like he needed to warm up or some shit. And after he started warming up and started pressing him, that's what Tank kind of really do. But it didn't look that unnormal because of how long it took for Tank to warm up. But he just looked it slow until he start turning up. But I think it was more of his cautions of he understanding that Hector Garcia was a great counter puncher. And that's another thing that I believe that Earl Spence did not recognize or respect it in a way, maybe, that Terrence Crawford is a great fucking counterpuncher. Him and Tank Davis is the best counterpunchers in boxing. They're just better at it. And then you can throw Shakur up there. Shakur is a great counterpuncher. Um, those three guys are elite in that way. Um, and they the best in the game that does that shit. So a lot of shit went wrong in that fight, man. It broke my heart to see Earl lose like that, man. But That's what comes with the sport of boxing, people. That's why when people be out here, people be arguing and be like going to the extreme with disrespect and bias because they too so biased with their fighters and shit. I get it in a way, but um, motherfuckers be going way too biased to where the point that if they guy loses, they don't humble themselves and make all these excuses of why your boy lost and all that shit. Look, Earl lost fair and square. He got his ass whipped. I'm just saying he looked at weight drain. He looked like he didn't look like himself. Even with Ryan, they were saying like Ryan looked weight drain. He was weight drain. He had a red problem. He still looked when he threw his shots. He still had power in them bitches when you seen him. You know what I mean? It just come to find out that Ryan Garcia, uh, boxing skills and IQ is not that great. That's basically what I got from that. It ain't had nothing to do with him being weight drained or no shit like that, and his ribs being messed up and no shit like that or whatever. It had nothing to do with that for me. He got outclassed and got his ass whipped because he doesn't have a great IQ, and he's not a good boxer. He has no boxing skills. He's just a kind of damn near like a brawler in a way. So he's just a fighter. He's not like he didn't have boxing skills. But I never looked at Ron Garcia and was like, it don't look like his power ain't there. His speed ain't there. Like his speed and his power was still there. He just couldn't connect because Tank was just had a better IQ and a better fighter, better boxer. And that's why he lost the fight. Um, but Earl, listen, it was no power, nothing there, man. I mean, listen, if you want to be like on some conspiracy shit, I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, man. Just them bringing in Ron Garcia, if Ron Garcia just got his ass whipped by Tank, to have him come in their camp, probably put some bad juju on them and shit. You get what I mean? And Anthony Joshua, having Anthony Joshua in there, put bad juju. They got two dudes that everybody overhyped, that's overhyped fighters, and brung them into Dark James and them motherfucking, you know, Earl and them camp. You know what I mean? Part of their team. Them two dudes. That's bad juju, man. I'm just saying. On some conspiracy shit. I'm just saying. But anyway, make sure you guys leave y'all comments, man. Hit that like button, hit the bell button. Support your boys, your boy, Mr. OBF. Peace and love to the world.